Oh, you ever thought this will only take 5 minutes and then realize that you were comically wrong? Yeah, well, welcome to Parkinson's time. You see, my body and my brain have, well, let's just call it a miscommunication issue. My hands, they're on their own schedule. My fingers are boycotting. My legs, they're just here for emotional support. Suddenly, what should take 30 seconds has now become a full-body strategy session. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter how long it takes. Forward is forward, and we're still moving, so let's keep going. You got this. Falling asleep at Parkinson's, it's already a challenge. But then try to roll over, and suddenly you're in the middle of a full-scale military operation. You have to analyze the situation, trying to come up with the best strategy, then carefully shift your weight, slowly initiating the move, because too fast, whole mission's compromised, and too slow, and you're never gonna make it. And when I finally make it to the other side, mission accomplished, job is done, the operation was a complete success. And then my bladder says, hey, shift your weight. Go to the bathroom. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Life in Motion, the Parkinson podcast. So if you're watching us live, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you're catching up on the replay, drop a comment. We love to hear from you. Well, I'm here with my buddy, Brian. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. I finally got 8 hours of sleep. Took me 4 days, but I finally got it.
That's perfect. 8 hours and 4 days. Well, I'm jealous then. I'm going to be honest with you. Super jealous because 8 hours of sleep for me last night, that's probably 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds more than I got last night. I am so exhausted, and that's the thing. And that's so interesting. And it's, well, I guess, what would they call that? Karma? Do they call it karma? Is that the right word? Karma?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like your day starts backwards. You're waking up tired and going to bed wide awake.
My sleep is, I say this all the time. Sometimes, this wake, sleep awake cycle, it's upside down, and it's nuts, and it's just total karma, because we were talking early in the week about what we wanted to talk about, and we were both mentioning how sleep has been an issue for us both, and we thought that's a great, let's talk about that then. Like, we just want to talk about what's going on in our lives, right? And then for the next 3 days I slept good, and I was like, man, this is great, I'm sleeping great. And then last night, of course, when we want to get up and do this,
right,
yeah, I'm tossing and turning, and it's just, it's unbelievable. It's just one of those things. It's those Parkinson things.
Sleep deprivation is the probably the worst symptom there is with Parkinson's. I haven't met anybody that's on that journey that doesn't have some form of an issue with sleep. Like, for me, I have to get up twice in the night to take pills. So, there I am at 2:30 and at 5:30. So, and I actually have no problem getting to sleep. It's when I get up and have that and take those pills, and if I have to use the restroom, I do that while I'm at it. And then I lay there and I'm like, wide awake.
See, you know what? That totally. I hear you. And my doctor. I remember when we were doing the pills, and again, we've talked about this in previous episodes. But I, like, every 3 hours I take these pills, right? I take my pills. And here's the thing. My doctor asked me. He said, "Hey, can you get up in the middle of the night? If you wake up in the middle of the night, wake yourself up by an alarm or wake up and take your pills. Can you fall back asleep?" And I'm like, dude, not a chance. I mean, my God, I have trouble falling asleep. Like, if I'm asleep, I want to sleep. Like, I can't even imagine not. Like, I can do it. So can you fall back asleep after that?
It depends if the leaves won or lost.
So in other words, no, you can't fall back asleep.
I don't
Is
fall asleep. No.
that? Hey, and welcome to Skipper. What does that say? Skipper Daryl. Skipper Daryl, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Down with sleeping stuff. He said, Brian. He says, I'm down with sleeping stuff. I've been a sleep patient for over 20 years. So amazing. I mean, it's one of those things. Now, Brian, let me ask you this. I was just thinking with Skipper Daryl's comment there. Did you sleep okay before Parkinson's, or were you always like not a great sleeper?
I slept better. No, I slept better. I've always been a morning guy. Like I would be up early, but not 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm not one of those guys. Like I'm a 6:30, 7 o'clock kind of guy. I find that still human. But no, before Parkinson's, I slept fairly well.
Wow. Okay. And you know what? I guess I don't know how to say this the right way. I mean, I got it fairly young, right? I got it at 40. I would consider myself a night owl, like, by nature. But, because I was just up doing stuff. But I wasn't, if I, even though I was a night owl, if I wanted to sleep, I could. And I guess that's what's frustrating when this type of like non-sleep, and I don't think people who don't have Parkinson's and don't go through this, they don't understand kind of exactly what it's like. Because, I mean, this is like you just literally like when I'm lying in bed, my eyes are awake. It's like I just woke up. It's like there's not even an ounce. I'm not tired. I don't have sleep in my eyes. I'm just wired for sound. It's wild.
Yesterday afternoon, I got in my lazy boy. I put on the golf channel, and I don't remember seeing one putt.
That's like my wife with TikTok. It's like the excuse me, it's the instant fall asleep. Scroll, gone. But anyway, this is exciting. But hey, Brian, before we get into this, and I hope Skipper is still with us here because we did this last week, and I want to do it again. And it is we're going to play a game called Shaky or Fakie. Okay, and we're gonna get into the sleep stuff, but I want to talk about the shaky or fakie. And really, again, it's like his classic true or false, right? And I'm gonna ask Brian some shaky or fakie questions, and he's gonna see if we can get it right. And if you play along with us, so answer in the comments, what you think the answer is, shaky or fakie, and then we'll see if you can beat Brian here today. But hopefully, I don't know, Brian. I tried to get some really tough ones, but we'll see how it goes. But here we go. Shaky or fakie. So Brian and everybody else here listening or in the replay, put your comments in, write your answers in the comments. But here's the first one. So people with Parkinson's are more likely to experience vivid dreams or nightmares. Is that shaky, true, or fakie, false?
That's shaky.
That's a shaky. And that's Brian's answer. And we're going to give everybody a couple minutes here. Shaky or fakie. So Brian says it's shaky. And again, I'll say it again. Parkinson's effect. Oh, sorry. Let me back up here. People with Parkinson's are more likely to experience vivid dreams or nightmares. Shaky or fakie? And the answer is, of course, it is shaky. That's true. And then Skipper Daryl got it right as well. So it's true. Parkinson's affects the areas of the brains responsible for the REM sleep, which lead to vivid, intense dreams or nightmares. And we'll get into that because I think we both maybe have some stories about some crazy vivid dreams. But all right, here we go. This is number 2. Hey, what's that?
That's 1 for 1. Let's bring on number 2.
Yeah, I know. And last week you were 100%, and I know I got to get some harder ones. But anyway, here it is. So come on now, keep up with Brian. See if we can get him. So here we go. Here's the next one. Caffeine should always be avoided if you have Parkinson's and trouble sleeping. Is that shaky or fakie? Shaky or fakie?
I don't like the wording of that one. I think there's a gotcha in there.
Let me read it to you again. I'm going to read it to you again, just so we know, and everybody playing along. Caffeine should always be avoided if you have Parkinson's and trouble sleeping.
That's a shaky.
You're saying shaky, and Skipper Daryl's saying fakie, and the answer really is a fakie. Fakie, we got him. We nailed it.
Brian.
We got you. Me and the skipper. So anyway, so fakie, it's false. So while too much caffeine late in the day can disrupt sleep, some studies suggest that caffeine may actually help with Parkinson's symptoms. It's all about the timing and moderation. So yeah, I slipped a little one in there. It was a little sneaky. That was a little shaky of me. That was a little shaky.
There's more than me learning on this program today.
Hey, Brian, you know what? I'll throw this in here, and I shouldn't do this here, but I remember when I got diagnosed, and I was talking to my next appointment, and at the time I was smoking, and I was smoked, and so my neurologist said, he said, here are the four things that are okay for you while with Parkinson's. And I'm like, okay. And he says, so you smoke? I said, yeah. He says, he said, and now I'm throwing this out there because he said, don't tell anybody I told you this, but he said, smoking actually, smoking releases dopamine. So, I'm okay with it. He said, but I'm not okay with it, if that makes sense. And I said, okay. So he said smoking. He said alcohol is okay because it releases some dopamine. He said caffeine releases dopamine, and he said sex. And I said, this is the best disease I could have ever had. I mean, the four things, it's like, and anyway, that's a little joke on the side. But anyway, yeah. So caffeine actually releases some dopamine, and it's pretty cool. Okay, all right. That was a little sidebar on
I
the
like the
shaky
curveball.
fakie. All right, all right. So Brian's 1 for 2. Skipper is 2 for 2.
There goes
Uh,
Skipper.
yeah, I'm telling you, this is it. So this is going to either tie them up, or there's going to be a walk away lead here for the skipper. So here we go. Uh, Number 3, people with Parkinson's often wake up multiple times per night. Oh my God, really, really?
Oh, we know
People with Parkinson's
that's real.
often wake up multiple times a night. Is that shaky or fakey?
That's a shaky.
That's a shaky. That's a shaky. I think it's a common known shaky. I think everybody's going to hammer a shaky down in the
I think
comments
that
on that
one was
one.
a gimme.
All right, so shaky. Yeah, true. Studies show that. Now this is interesting. Uh, Skipper, it's a shaky. It's true. Look at that. You guys tied. You guys tied in live
Did
time.
Skipper get that one wrong?
He did. He did. It's a shaky. So it's true. Studies show that over 80% of people with Parkinson's experience fragmented sleep, meaning they wake up frequently throughout the night. 80%. So maybe, Skipper Daryl, if you maybe you don't, maybe again, you're in sleep studies, you got this thing down pat, right? But 80% of us have trouble sleeping, and that's amazing. And it's not amazing. I shouldn't say it's amazing. It's true, and it kind of makes you think that you're not alone. You're not alone in this. And I don't know, if Brian, if you belong to any, like, I don't know, groups and different things with people with Parkinson's. It's and I do, but I don't. I tend to. When I was first diagnosed, I signed up for like all these like Facebook groups and stuff. I joined every group I could find on Facebook,
Right.
and then I realized I kind of had to stop. I had to kind of pull out a lot of them because there was so much crazy information in there, and it was actually bringing me down a lot. But I'm telling you, between midnight and like 6 a.m., that thing was alive and rocking because people, I can't sleep tonight. I'm having trouble sleeping. I can't sleep
Yeah.
tonight, and I'm like, holy smokes, it's not just me. So it's wild, right?
Yeah, you can get a lot of validation when you join up with groups like that or listen to podcasts like this and things like that. And this week we've got World Sleep Day coming up on the 14th. So
Yeah,
maybe
you were mentioning that.
we're
What?
going to
So
be next week on
World Sleep
that.
Day. Does that mean we get to? It's the 14th. Is that what day? Is that
It's
during the
Friday.
week? That's Friday. So does that mean we get to sleep all day? Is it like everybody sleeps all day Friday, or we
I
just?
think you should go to sleep, and if you don't wake up, the
Yeah,
way you
yeah.
normally do, just keep sleeping.
Man, well, you know what? So I have no trouble waking up, right? I just have trouble falling asleep. So once I'm there, I'm okay. But anyway, this is exciting, and this is why I think it's so important, and that's why we need to talk about these things, and that's why we, can share and go through it. So, if you are listening live right now with us here, or watching us on YouTube, or in the replay, in the comments, like, how often do you have trouble falling asleep? And because I just want to compare it, I'm going to say, Brian, when I first got diagnosed, and I hate to say this, it's this stupid progressive disease. It's like my sleep awfulness is progressive because when I first got diagnosed, I would probably be, maybe I'm going to say once every 6 weeks or something. Like, I'd have this one night and I would be wide awake all night, and I'd be doing whatever whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, that was just a weird night. Maybe I had too much coffee that day. Maybe I was just excited. Maybe I had things going on. And then as my progression, I've been 15 years, almost 15 years now since I was diagnosed. And as I go into like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and I do those by 5-year increments. So by, let's say 6 years into my diagnosis, all of a sudden it was turning to, like, now it was like once every 3 weeks or something to that degree. And now, as I'm 15 years into it now, I think I can be up to twice a week where I'm just a straight out up all night kind of thing. And so I don't know, how often do you struggle?
I struggled at the beginning, and it's because I didn't know what I didn't know. And as I was saying earlier, as you attend podcasts or webinars, or you get newsletters from Parkinson's Canada or the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I honed in on sleep, and I used Every Victory Counts, the book on the Parkinson's Canada website, to help teach me as well. What I was doing was I wasn't having cat naps because I was tired. I was laying down for 2.5, 3 hours in the afternoon. Like I was like, give me a bottle, change me, and feed me, and I'm good to go. It was crazy. I moved away from that. So when I mentioned yesterday that I was in my lazy boy watching the Golf Channel, it's true. And I did doze off, but I didn't doze off for hours. I probably missed a hole and a half, so 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really cognizant of that. My watch tells me if I'm standing enough or not, right?
Yeah.
And I listen to it, and I wasn't before, right? It was just, it would buzz, I'd shut it off and continue doing what I was doing. And being retired now, I'm not chained to that desk like I was when I was working, right? So
Right.
I move around a lot more, and that helps. The other thing I'm doing is when I'm moving around, weather permitting, I'm going outside because of the vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important for people with Parkinson's. So if you can't get outside, sit by a window, even, to read a chapter in a book or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's foods we have to watch out for. Apparently I had caffeine wrong. But something you shouldn't have.
I'll be honest, I cannot have caffeine, and so back to that caffeine point. Yeah, if I in the old days when I was younger, I could drink, especially growing up in a place that was so cold, it was like minus 30 outside all day long.
Yeah.
I could drink coffee all day. I'd be at my office, I'd just coffee. Now, if I have a cup of coffee, let's say after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I know I'm not sleeping. It just doesn't do it. And it was funny. I was just reading a comment there, and he's saying that I have no trouble falling asleep, but after 6 hours I have trouble staying asleep. And to that point, and caffeine, I think I wish I don't know how to pull this up here, Brian. This is so awesome because I think there's a way. And excuse me, I'm just going to go down here. There is a bear with me here. I'm just gonna try something here, Brian, real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like a little button that I can.
You're looking for that. The one last point I wanted to make was, you should avoid the nightcap. Alcohol before bed is one thing that they say as well. And then that hour before bed, unplug. Get off your phone. Get off your computer. Grab a book. Do some meditation. Just unwind.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And so you know what? And I got to point to that as we get into this. And I just wanted to pull this up here because caffeine is my drug of choice. I think I can second that. I love my caffeine. I love my caffeine.
One thing I find with the beverages is you have to watch how many you have before bed. Garbage in, garbage out. Because if I'm not getting up for pills, and the restroom.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's so funny because when I was reading that comment that said, after 6 hours, right? And that's the thing. I always remember the jokes about, hey, getting older and having to go to the restroom, right? Like getting older and you can't make it through the night. And it's one of those things again where it's like, do you ever have those things where you go to your neurologist, and my first thing always is this? It's like, okay, here's what's going on with me this month or the last 6 months, and it was like, and I always say this: I don't know if this is old age or Parkinson's, right? Like I don't know if I can't make it through the night anymore. I have to get up and pee because I'm just getting older and I just can't, I don't have the functioning that I once had, or is it Parkinson's? So it's one of those weird dichotomies, It's just crazy. But I totally agree with that, and I think that's you made two really good points. And what's interesting is you talked about the vitamin D and the sunlight, and I want to get into it a little bit there. I think I found a hack, and it's working really well for me. But I want to break this down a little bit. So I wanted let's talk about why does Parkinson's mess with our sleep, right? and there's a lot of reasons. For some people, it's insomnia, right? They just can't fall asleep. That's what
Right.
I deal with. I just cannot fall asleep. And for others, it's waking up multiple times a night and never getting into that deep sleep. That they're not hitting that deep sleep, and that's and then there's the REM sleep behavior disorder, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit of that. And that's where we act out our dreams and
Yeah.
whatnot. And
Guilty.
um, and then you've got medications, right? Some can make you drowsy, others can mess up your sleep cycle. And then let's not forget about anxiety and racing thoughts. I mean, there's so many things. That's big for a lot of people. Like I used to be that guy that, I'd be busy, 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 busy all the time. And when I finally went to sleep, or went to go to bed, I'd lie there and I'd start thinking about the entire day and replaying all these things that I
No
didn't do
kidding.
and I have to do. And I'd be, up all night. So now we've got so again, that's a natural thing for me to kind of when I go to bed is just to kind of in my mind starts to run on me, and now you've got that, and now you've added in some of these medications, and then you add in da da da, then you add in this, and it's like my lord, I mean, how many things do we have, like kind of have 1 out of 10, like or 1 out of 5, but like it's always like 5 out of 5. It's crazy.
When you get to my age, Parkinson's is something I'm dealing with. I got other stuff going on that I got to deal with too, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger, and with Parkinson's, that's a good thing. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's just wild. Have you ever tried? Have you ever tried? And maybe in the chat, just yes or no on this one too. But and Brian, have you ever tried melatonin?
Yeah, I'm
And
actually using it right now.
yeah,
I was prescribed 3 pills before bed.
okay,
They're 10 milligrams, so it's 30 milligrams of melatonin. I'm taking that. I'm meeting up with my caregiver on that front. I think next month. Out of the gate, it seemed to make a small difference at first, but now I feel like I'm back to square one. So it doesn't seem to be doing the trick for me.
Well,
And I'm playing a lot more pickleball now, which
yeah.
exercise is great, and that kind of exercise, can make you tired too. But I find that's not doing what I would hope it would be doing either.
Well, you know what? There was a comment, and I'm going to bring it up here, and it says, I get severe nightmares and with most sleep aids, including melatonin, and that's why I was asking you as well. I had the same problem. That's like and even the melatonin like off the counter, like so they had these even
That's
they
right.
were like gummy bears, like melatonin gummy bears,
Yeah.
and so I'd eat these gummy bears. So one thing I was told by the doctor is that it's with melatonin, it's one of those things where it stays in your body. So if you have them one night and then don't take them for another night or another night, then it's like you're starting all over again. So you have to be really consistent with them. But
Yes.
my God, so I had two problems with melatonin, which so I'm not taking it now, but I had
Okay.
two problems with that, and one was these like I would wake up like when I woke up in the morning, I was so groggy. Like I was so tired. I was groggy, like almost like I was drugged, like
Yes.
when I was a kid, I used to drink Neocitrin or something when I had a
Yeah.
cold
Yeah.
or those things. And you wake up kind of like, ugh. And that's how I'd wake up with melatonin. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then, my God, I was having the craziest, like most insane dreams and vivid. I mean, alive. I mean, I would literally, and so what would happen was this: is I have these really like intense dreams. I think we talked about this either last episode or the episode before, and I either have these really intense dreams that were just wild, and I think we talked about that too, and you as well, where I'm always running from something or fighting something, or I was in a war. I mean, it was always, and you as well, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, what is that about?
Extremely vivid. And I don't know for you. For me, it was intermittent when I was having them. It wasn't consistent. But
Yeah.
it was out of the gate. I'll call it early days of being diagnosed with Parkinson's. I had that experience, and I was on my knees with my arm, with a full fist because I was in a fight
Wow.
protecting. I think it was it was either one of my daughters or my wife or both. Uh, but in acting that out in my bed, I had my fist over my wife,
Oh man.
and that's when I said, timeout. I went and had conversation. My neurologist is great. I see her 3 or 4 times a year, but I can phone her whenever I want.
Yeah.
And I know within 24 hours she'll call me back, or
Nice.
someone will call me back. But in this case, I wanted a little coaching on this vivid dream and acting stuff out. And after chatting with her, my wife and I made the decision. We sleep in separate rooms because I'm not going to be responsible for that. Not at all. And the other thing I'm worried about is I think she can take me. So I might.
I was gonna say, you don't want to wake up hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
You're picking a fight that you can't.
I made it about her, but inside I'm going, I don't need this.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? For me, I'm technically still a newlywed. As a matter of fact, my first year anniversary with my beautiful wife is at the end of this month, so March
Nice.
30th. So,
Congrats.
we found ourselves each other later in life, and I think that's
Beautiful.
amazing. But so I think you'd have to. I think I would prefer to be handcuffed and tied down to the bed, or like straight down to the bed before not sleeping with her. But for me, it's funny, like that is scary, and and I hope. I mean, oh my God! I'm now you said that. I hope I don't get there. Mine are the reverse. So you know how you have like. So here's what I think, Brian. You're like a bad drunk, right? You're like the bad drunk guy. I'm the good drunk guy. At the bar, your buddies. They got the bad drunks. You don't give them a drink because if they get drunk, they're awful, right? You're picking fights. You're doing everything. Me, I'm the funny guy. Like I drink and I'm even funnier. Like I would literally wake up. There was two scenarios I'm thinking of. One right off the bat where, my wife she wakes me up. Gives me my pills and. Hi, how are you? Good morning. Give her a kiss. We're having a conversation, drinking a cup of coffee, just sitting in bed, just drinking a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
having about a 20-minute conversation. And she says, I'm looking weird. Like so my eyes are I'm looking around the room a lot. I'm kind of shifting back and forth, and she's kind of wondering what I'm doing. And she's like, what's up? And finally I went shh. I said, you have to be quiet because they're on to us. So what you need to do is you need to go to the cupboard, get my shoes really, really quick. And then we're going to go out the back door. And she's like, where are we going? And then I'm like, well, the nurse has been trying to kill me now for a week. And now this is their opportunity. And she's going to take me out. And if you're here, she's going to take you out too. So I'm almost like trying to protect her in the moment. But literally, and she's like, we're having our morning coffee. And she's like, wait a second. And then it kicks in like, oh my gosh, he's in the middle of a dream. And she's like, okay. And, she has to wait for me to snap out of it. But the time before that was even crazier. Where, again, same scenario. She woke me up. We're lying in bed, or we're sitting in bed. We're having coffee. We've been talking. She said we've been talking for about 20 minutes. And she was telling me we had a really busy weekend, and so we had a whole bunch of things we had to do. And I think it was for the wedding. Like, we have to go here, we have to buy this, we have to get this, pick up this. And then finally I looked at her and I said, okay, well then we better get going. And she said, okay, right on, let's go. And I said, okay, you go get dressed. I am going to run around the back and I'm going to get Shorty and we're going to unhook the horses by the campfire. Here, I was in the middle of like a Western movie. Like I was like in horse, and it just blows her mind because she's like, Bryce, I was talking to you. Like we were literally looking in each other's eyes, having a conversation. And then 20 minutes later, here you've been in some like fantasy land the whole time.
Wow.
And for me at the time, I don't even remember. Like I'm kind of like, I guess I wake up, I get through it, my pills start kicking in, everything starts getting normal for me again. But I don't. I remember the dream. I remember like I'll be like, she'll talk to me. She says, "Hey, you were in a country western dream last night." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was. How'd you know that?" And she's like, "Because it continued on after you woke up."
Wow.
And I have no idea. It's wild. It's crazy. It's scary. So anyway, I'm the good drunk. You're the bad drunk. We consider that, but
You're killing me. I'm the bad drunk. Okay.
Sorry, sorry, that was bad. Oh my God! But anyway, now I'm gonna. Do you get this though? Like, so once you've had that bad night of sleep, it's kind of. Does you get like the domino effect? Like you're exhausted the next day, right? Kind of like you said, and then so you have a nap, and then you nap long because you napped way too long, and then you can't sleep again the next night. Does that ever happen? Do you do stuff like that too?
Yeah, it has. Excuse me, but I'm really trying to leverage the information that I've been given from Parkinson's and like, because if I don't follow the rules and I'm having a bad experience, then shame on me, right? I have to give it give it a try. But yeah, it seems to be working. I don't have the acting out dreams still that often. I don't always remember them either. But sometimes Lori will get up and the room she sleeps in is right beside mine. So she's like, "Oh, I heard you last night." I said, "Oh yeah." I said I was protecting so and so, and we were running through a forest, and I'm telling her the story like I watched the movie that night, kind of thing. And then other mornings I'll get up and I'll go, "I got nothing. I don't remember that." It's really vivid.
Yeah.
And it's vivid when I'm having it, but I either recollect it really well or nothing at all. There's no.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. Either I can tell you the dream from start to finish, right? Yeah. Or it's sort of like, But then you know what? 3 or 4 days later, something might trigger something. I'm like, oh. And what I struggle with now is I sometimes don't know if something really happened or if it was in a dream. They're that real. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'll be like talking to somebody and they'll say something and I'll be like, no, well, you remember when we went golfing last week or last month? And they'll be like, we didn't go golfing. I'm like, yes, we did. And I almost argue it. I almost like argue them because whatever this dream I had, it was so real to me that I feel like it's real. But I don't know. Again, so here we've thrown out a lot of the stuff we deal with, and I'm sure it's pretty consistent. And Skipper was like, he said he's a so-so drunk then. So you're the bad drunk. I'm the good drunk. Skipper's the so-so drunk.
Skipper drunk in there. I love it.
Yeah. What about, and anybody else in the comments, please let us know if you're so-so drunk. I didn't even think of so-so. So there's a so-so drunk, a good drunk, and a bad drunk. So anyway. We're way off. We're way off, and we're way off. But so we've thrown it all out there. So that back now. When did we lose this podcast? So we are back to. So here's the thing: we've thrown a lot of things out there that obviously we deal with and people deal with, and we throw that out there because, again, I was thinking something, Brian. We were talking about doing the podcast, and I mean, everything we say as well, and even as we get into things about medication or about all this kind of stuff, we're not medical professionals. We're like two dudes that have Parkinson's. We've been diagnosed for a while. We're both seemingly doing okay with it, and we're got a positive mindset. So, we want to do this to kind of share maybe some of the things that we've learned, some of the things that we've, struggled with. So, we throw it out there to say, so I got a couple hacks that I want to kind of share, and I think you probably do as well. So, that was all the stuff we deal with, right? So can't sleep at all, wake up a lot, right? The dreaming and everything else. So, a couple of things I've learned to do, and you just chime in here as well, Brian, but a couple of things. So number one is the thing that I've realized is that most of these things happen when I don't keep a consistent routine at bed. So what I mean by that is and you said it earlier, and that's why I was kind of smiled, because I have to have a consistent routine. In other words, I got to try to go to bed at the same time every night. I have to avoid those blue screens, right? So at least an hour before. So my phones, iPads, computers, I got to put them down. It's crazy to me. I talked about it earlier as well. I have to watch my caffeine intake. So that afternoon caffeine will it'll get me. It'll totally get me. And those things I've had to learn to do. Again, there's this sleep wake phenomenon. Right? And your body falls into this pattern of sleep, wake, sleep, wake, sleep, wake. And if there's a way that you can possibly, and for me at least, Brian, and you tell me, maybe it's just me, but if I can try to be consistent with what time I go to sleep and what time I wake up, it works better for me in the long run. And I don't know, does that work for you?
Faithfully. It's funny, last night, Lori and I went out for dinner. The kids had bought us a nice gift card for Christmas. So we decided just before the March break, when all hell breaks loose in our house here in Whitby, with all the kids coming over, which is great. I'm kidding, but we had a nice dinner. We came back, watched the end of the hockey game, and then it was TV off, put some tunes on, and we played a game of cards. And I looked at my watch, and it was 10 to 11, and I was panicking because I wasn't in bed yet. Because I'm normally in bed 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I lost too, so I maybe that's why I didn't sleep good. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hey, now we've established something else. You're obviously much older than me because my bedtime's like 11:30, 12. So
I'm definitely older than you, buddy.
but the thing is, you need to get up a few times at night, and I need to try to stay in bed, so that's also different. But
Yeah, yeah,
you're right, and that you know what? It's almost like you said, like put some music on, do something. It's like a calm down area, relaxing
totally.
our brain a little bit, just kind of falling into that. And I love the music thing. Excuse me, the music thing to me is huge as well. Like for routine as well for me because it's just whenever I said I had that racing brain, I'd lie in. But like for example, tonight I would go to sleep tonight, or I'd go to get in bed tonight for my routine, and I'd lie there and I think about all the dumb things I said in this podcast, the things I shouldn't have said, things I should have said better, things I forgot to
Maybe you
say,
don't sleep.
you know, and I'll run them through my head though. They're just constantly running through my head. So sometimes I feel like if I just lie back and I just put my AirPods in and I just put on some nice, no, not hyper music, because otherwise I want to get up and go crazy, but just to calm myself down. And I think to me that's made it the routine part for me was always hard because I'm more of a fly by this, oh, this is on, that's on, And again, to Brian's point earlier, when so the Winnipeg Jets are first place in the NHL right now and cruising for the playoffs. So if they're playing on the East Coast, I will be up later. But
Exactly.
I know ahead of time, Brian. If I know that if look, I got to stay up for this event or I've got this thing going on, I know either A, I'm going to be more tired, or I plan my next day accordingly. Is what I'm trying to say, right?
Agreed.
I don't book anything early in the morning. We're not going to be having coffee first thing in the morning because I know for a fact I'm going to be tired or still sleeping.
Hey, see, that's my good time. I
What?
wake up, I'm good to go, and it's as the day progresses, I tend to dwindle. I guess I would call it because yesterday I was in my office again. It was one of the worst nights sleep I had in a while. I was in my office at 4 a.m. And I was working on some stuff because I got some good things going on, and I was enjoying it and had some nice tunes going. Lori was upstairs, sound asleep, and
Wow.
by the time I finished doing that, though, I was exhausted,
Yeah.
and I hadn't had
Right.
breakfast yet.
So you blew all your energy before breakfast.
I hit a wall. I hit a wall.
Is that wild?
So I went out for my 30-minute walk. I wanted to get it done. It was sunny but cool here
Yeah.
in East Toronto, and the sidewalks were dry, which makes it important because I don't want to slip and fall, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I got the walk in, and that's when I sat in the lazy boy and thought I watched some golf.
My gosh. And you know what's funny? So I guess that's the other thing too. There's no 2 days the same, is there? Like you could maybe do the same thing tomorrow, and it might not affect you quite as much. And it's to
Totally.
me, it's wild like that. I think so. You said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard this. I got distracted because we found out that Skipper Darrell is a St. Louis Blue fan, and I like the city of St. Louis, but I'm not a Blue fan. Although Brian, as a couple of Canadians here, it was because of, I believe, in the overtime Canada versus United States game, the St. Louis Blue goalie, who is a Canadian, helped us bring home that the Nations Four
That's
Cup.
correct.
So
He made
so
some
we
stellar
like we
saves.
like the Blues. We like the Blues. Yeah. Okay.
We do.
Um, sorry, but what I got so distracted by that
No worries.
hockey, right? But did you say that the mornings are your best time? Is that what did you say that, or did I hear that wrong?
Yeah,
Or
they are. It is.
what? Really?
It is. Yeah, and it has to do with my on-off experience too with freezing, right? I tracked it, so I know for a fact I'm going to have 60 to 75 minutes of freezing a day. It's
Okay.
usually through 4 to 5 episodes,
Yeah.
and it's typically between 9 a.m. And 8 p.m. And once I understood that and lived my life around that, um, my anxiety went away. Went away. And I don't have that fear because we also have bladder issues and stuff with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I call it fake it till you make it because your body makes you think you have to go to the bathroom, but you don't. But you
Yeah.
need to be prepared because you might, and
Yeah.
all that goes away when I figured out my freezing and so forth. So it
That's
didn't.
amazing.
It worked wonders for me.
So so what you're saying is the anxiety of thinking, oh my God, I know this, oops, I know this is going to happen. I know I'm going to free at some point. That anxiety was building up. And that's the stupid thing about anxiety, right? The more you think about something, the more you worry about, the worse it gets. And so we're kind of like doubling up on it now, aren't we?
Yeah, you're creating angst that's
Hmm.
unnecessary.
And I'll tell you, at least for me, my symptoms are completely exaggerated when I'm stressed out. Like they're way worse. Like
Agreed.
they're
Yeah.
exaggerated, accentuated, like they're worse. So, that's I 100% agree with you. And I love what you said there. You had to learn how to adapt, right? Adapt to this way for now, and and be prepared. It could change, right? That 8 to 9 could be turned to 7 to 7, or who knows what's going to happen, right? But to be able to adapt and change your lifestyle and the way you're
Yep.
doing things to incorporate that into your lifestyle is so important, right? Is to have that plan and do it. I love that, Brian. That's
And if
fantastic.
you're having trouble sleeping, keep a journal for a couple of weeks. Jot down what's happening. Look
Love that.
for good things that are happening in a consistent way, but look for those gotchas that are causing you the grief. And if you can come up with a plan on your own
Yeah,
to solve it, great. If not, reach out to one of your caregivers that makes sense,
I love it.
and make that happen. Because when you can lose anxiety,
I
you
love
can
it.
gain so much more in your life.
We have what we call the Brown Doctor Book, and if you think about that, we see our neurologist once every 6 months, right? So in that book, though, it's like that's where everything's listed out. Like, so I okay, this happened, that happened.
Yeah.
Hey, this is happening. So then I start kind of looking at my day. What did I eat? What did I drink? What time did I go to sleep? And I try to lay it all out. So because I feel like when I get to my neurologist in 6 months, I got that a 30-minute appointment, if maybe 30-minute appointment to get everything out. And I'm like, oh, what was I going to ask him? What was I going to ask them? What was I going to ask them? And I forget. So I journal it all out, everything out, so that when I get there, it's sort of like
Yeah.
well, it's different now that I'm married, Brian, because now I feel like I go to Carmen and my doctor's neurology appointment. Like we literally go there and I sit down and my wife Carmen and
It's
my
so
doctor,
true.
they talk. Here's what happened, this what happened, and she has the brown book out and I just sit back in the corner kind of going like, all right,
Yeah, it's okay, honey. I got all the notes. I covered everything.
yeah. Man, I could have been at home watching golf, and they could have just talked about me and figured out my next realm of how what's happening. But no, I say that jokingly, but I think it's a really good point. Like you said, journal it out, and I think then to second that point is keep that journal and take it with you to the doctor, and you can just re-look through your 6 months, so you won't forget something. But the other thing that you said earlier too is that the naps, that taking short naps instead of long naps. It's another trick I learned. Because those long naps wreck that sleep cycle.
Totally.
My grandfather could fall asleep when he was alive. He could fall asleep at like anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And he could lie on I remember him lying on the couch and he'd snore. Oh my God. He would snore so it was insane. It was so loud. We, as kids, we used to we'd make us giggle. We'd laugh around like, oh my goodness, we heard him down the street. But he could fall asleep and he could sleep and snore like loud. And then 5 minutes later, he'd be awake and he'd just walk around and he kind of lived that way. When he was tired, he'd take a 5-minute breather and he would go. And I have never in my lifetime been able to do that. As a matter of fact, I used to, before Parkinson's, I never napped. I couldn't nap. And I think, again, that's probably my ADHD. It was like I had to go, but I couldn't relax enough to nap, if that's the way to say it.
Yeah. When I was in kindergarten, my last name's Campkin. They called me Napkin because I could nap.
Napkin. Oh my God, that's so hilarious.
Yeah.
Brian Napkin.
When it was nap time, they call me Camper now. Camper was out.
Oh my God. Okay, so maybe that's a good. That might make a very good thumbnail for a future for this episode. I can maybe, but anyway, that's amazing. So now that's pre-Parkinson's too. That's your person.
I could nap anywhere. I could lay on a freezer and fall asleep.
Oh my God, I wish. See, now I can do that on planes. I literally get on a plane. I can get on a plane. I flew so much, for work. I literally get on a plane and put my AirPods on, and they have to wake me up for takeoff. Like they're kind of and I felt like I sleep right through the announcements.
Yeah.
I'll wake and I'll kind of pretend I'm awake for the takeoff, and then I can sleep the whole flight. But on any given day, so anyway, backtracking, before Parkinson's, never.
Right.
Now,
napping on a plane, you couldn't, or sleeping on a plane.
Sleeping
before Parkinson's.
No, sorry. The plane I always could, so I don't call that. But to me, it's not a nap because it's just now and then. But but I could do it then. I could do that now.
Yeah.
When I was working? I work now full time. But when I actually went to an office, I drove to the office. I'd have to start like before I kind of came out and told everybody I had Parkinson's, and I was working way too much and stressed right out, and I'd get to work about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd get to my office at 7 in the morning, and I would have to leave work at like 3 o'clock. I'd sneak out and leave work, like not sneak out, but I'd leave, and I would honestly be stopped at a red light
Wow.
trying to get home, and I'd be crashing, like my eyes were closing and I was going down. I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Wow.
It was crazy. So now I got this really weird system where I eat dinner at night and I zap out for about 10 minutes,
Nice.
and then
No
I guess that,
dishes for you.
and I guess it does. Yeah. Hey, no dishes for me ever. I hate doing dishes. No, we were talking about the other day. Would you rather do laundry or dishes? And I was like, I mean, do I have to do one of them? But I'm not I hate doing dishes. The dishes to me are the worst thing to do. But no, I don't know. But anyway, the whole point being is this: what would you tell somebody then, Brian? I'm just going to throw this at you, and hopefully you're
Sure.
okay with that. Um, when you're having those long naps, because some people like we're tired, right? We haven't slept or we've been
Yeah.
struggling sleeping, and we felt like should we break out of the nap? Like, what would your advice be? Like, or stop the nap, or don't nap, or like, what do
I
you
would
think?
set an alarm. Yeah, I would shorten it by setting an alarm.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
reward yourself. Maybe you like to have a coffee and a cookie and through sometime during the day. Make that
Yeah.
your right after my nap thing, if that's something, or set the alarm, have your nap, go for your walk, or something that you like to do. Or in my case, it would be uh, have a have an app, set the alarm, go play pickleball because
Okay.
I
So,
don't want to be late for pickleball, right?
yeah, well, yeah, okay. So there's the thing too, because it can mess with you. It can mess with those things, your schedule if you fall asleep. So here's my problem. This is so I'm glad you said that because I decided to like smart home my house, right? So I went totally smart home, so
Wow.
I could just say to the turn this light on or turn this on. The problem is, number one is you said your mornings were great. My mornings are horrible. My mornings are the worst ever. And what I didn't realize is when I wake up in the morning and I go like, "Hey Alexa, turn on the bedroom light." Alexa's like doesn't even beep because I sound like a drunken sailor. Like I'm like I it's she doesn't I'm like and I don't even realize I'm not saying something right. But when it's working good, what I was able to do, and this is like a really weird hack if you have a smart home, but um, I so I have the if I program my home like in all the rooms that if the smart speaker hears snoring right for more than a minute, it dims the lights and turns music on.
Wow.
Cool, right? Which is great, but the problem was then I'm out. I'm not waking back up. So I'd be missing stuff because I wanted to see stuff. So what I did was I took another step and I said, and then 10 minutes later, turn on the loudest alarm you have in the house. So literally it puts me to sleep, and 10 minutes later it wakes me back up. And to me, it's like a really weird little hack that I was able to do,
Nice.
and I could do it. And then I realized I could do the same on my phone. Could do the same thing because my problem is, Brian, that if and when I fall asleep like that in the middle of the day, like you're saying, like set an alarm, like I don't have time. I think I just go like boom, and I don't even have time to set the alarm. So that's like a little maybe a little different hack that we can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up a thing here in the chat now, Brian. I don't see you can see it on your screen, but
Again.
because of my rhythm disorder, my sleep cycle is only 40-ish minutes rather than 90 minutes. I'd very rather nap longer. Yeah, very rarely than 45 minutes. Amazing, like that's so. If you are not amazing, why do we say that? Awesome, amazing. I mean that's something that people have to deal with, right? So again, it's just everybody's different. Everybody has different
Exactly.
times and different settings, and
Yep.
I think that the key is to Brian's point earlier is to just watch it, like watch for trends and schedule it, and then you start realizing what's happening, where you're going, and then plan accordingly, right? Either pre-plan or post-plan, and that's great. We didn't even get into the pickleball stuff, but I think that's like the biggest thing that I've had to learn with Parkinson's is that, and for my type of personality, is sometimes it's not a good thing because I get kind of mad that I have to do this, but I am not a planner by nature. I'm not an organizer by nature. I'm not a planner by nature. So for someone to say to me like, "Oh, hey, write all this down and figure this out and figure," to me that's like, ugh, like that's like like I feel like a little kid, like, don't make me do it, that type of thing. So, thankful enough, I married a planner organizer who keeps it done. And you're by nature, you're a planner and organizer by nature.
I am, but I'll give Lori credit. She's stellar at that as well.
Yeah, and so she helps you on that as well. So what do you think? And Skipper Dave made a good comment too. It's like, and don't let others disrupt that schedule, right? So it's sort of like I feel like I need to carry around a sign to like do not disturb for 10 minutes or something like that, or come back in 10 minutes if I'm still asleep, wake me up. But so again, we're sitting here talking about our care partners as well, and my care partner. Thank God, again for me, I don't know what I'd do without her in this area.
I'd be done.
So, what do we say to somebody then that doesn't have a care partner? What do you think?
Say that again. Sorry.
Like you think about it. So we're I'm with you. I'm the same as you. I mean, I think we're maybe resourceful enough where we maybe would figure it out. But what if somebody doesn't have that care partner? Like, what do you think they're best?
Yeah, I've had that conversation with some of the groups or associations or whatever that I've been involved with. First of all, it takes. I was taken aback by the comment, and then I turn into kind of a Columbo when I'm trying to figure something out. Where I'm very curious, I just keep asking questions. Right? I just don't wear the trench coat that he had. But yeah, I just kept asking questions. It helped me understand why this person was in the position they were in. And then I tried to lead them to resources and tools and so forth that Parkinson's Canada has, because we have some great stuff in there with the caregiver program and care program in general, care partners. Like you can go in, you can either go on the web or you can phone them up, and you can research. Let's say Brian needs a physiotherapist in Whitby that is focused on Parkinson's. You can go through that minefield and find it. They don't know that, so it's helping them with that. That's why, I go around as a self-proclaimed expert generalist when it comes to Parkinson's. I've done countless podcasts and webinars. In 2003, I read 32 books.
Wow.
And they were recreation books. I found an author. He wrote them in series of 2 or 3 or 5 or 6. And I had to do them in order because that's what Brian does. So I read them all in order. But I read every book that he wrote, all 32 of them in 1 year. The next year, I read 11 books because I got real busy with podcasts and webinars. And that's when I dug in and decided. It also coincided with me becoming a mentor with the peer-to-peer program at Parkinson's Canada.
Wow.
That's when I invented the fact that I wanted to be an expert generalist. Because one of my goals, and you know this, Bryce, is to make those that get diagnosed behind me have a better experience than I had, because it was pardon the expression, it was shitty. The way that we were treated. There's 40 million people in Canada and there's 110,000 with Parkinson's, so it doesn't sound like a lot. It's a lot when you're one of the 110,000.
Hey, you know what? It's one person's a lot, right? And the thing is with this disease, 2 million people worldwide, and and in Canada alone, like there's statistics are starting to show that when we get, I think it's year 2020, year 2030, 2035, there'll be 50 a day, 50 people every single day, and that's you brought up a really good point. So, when I got diagnosed as well, it's like it was all blurry. What am I going to do? I'm going to do this, and I hit the internet and I tried to research. I'm like you. I ask a ton of questions. I probably drive people crazy. I ask so many questions, and I want to know, and I want to dig deeper. But the thing is, you can get lost in a rabbit trail on the internet, right? And you're going to see things that are real, not real, things that happen. Who knows if it's if it's the right answer or not. And So you got to find some really trusted, good places to get your information from. And so Parkinson Canada, for example, at parkinson.ca is a great place, in Canada. And you can access it from outside of Canada as well. So that's why I'm using that. Or the Michael J. Fox Foundation, or Parkinson's UK, Parkinson's Foundation, some major places like that. And I know, of course, I'm privy to Michael J. Fox and Parkinson Canada, because I work for Parkinson Canada, so I get to look at those resources and share and help create some of those resources. So, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And Michael J. Fox and Parkinson Canada have a pretty tight relationship, and we share resources back and forth. And
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing, is you got to educate yourself, right? So again, back to what our question was, if you're alone, you don't have that care partner to help you, then educate yourself, right? You got to. That's the one thing that I've found, is that there's some days that I want to. Well, I don't know if I want to. I used to in the past, where I'd be like, oh my god, I want someone to feel sorry for me. Like, I feel sorry for myself, and I want someone else to feel sorry for me, and I want to just be like that. People just take care of me for a minute, kind of thing. But I realized that. And we're going to talk about these in some later episodes, but like, building your healthcare team, and who's on your healthcare team, and who should be and shouldn't be, and when, and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that you have to be the quarterback of your healthcare team. You have to be. You can have all these people gunning for you. Like, we can have the best partners, or helpers, whatever, partners, wives, husbands, wives, kids, whoever helping us. We have the best ones. But if we're not doing our part, then what's the point? Like, we have to be the leader of what we're doing. We have to be the one pushing forward. And I think that's so important for
You need
people
to be
to
the
realize.
general contractor of your business. You need to know a little bit about everything, but I need to go to a physiotherapist to get 100% of the knowledge that I need. I need to go to the chiropractor if it's a back issue, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You're the general contractor. You're the Swiss Army knife, right? Those are all the other pieces that, and think of those pieces of a Swiss Army knife of being individual experts. That's who you need to go to have a sleep disorder conversation with, or movement disorder, for all the right reasons, right? But we got to lead you to who they are, so you know who to go knock on what door.
100%, and I think that's you nailed it. And here's the thing: when I got diagnosed, I didn't like, now I'm going to my neurologist every 6 months, so I get that, right? And I'm thinking that's every 6 months I go to the doctor. I didn't even know. I didn't think about physiotherapy and occupational therapy and speech therapy. Those things didn't even cross my mind. And when I remember the first time I went in and I said, it was my wife. My wife's like, I can't hear you. Like, she was, you're speaking so quietly. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm speaking quiet? She goes, you're speaking so quietly. So I said, okay, I'll do better. I'll speak up. And so she'd say something. And I said, listen, when we're in a group setting, and I realized something, this is really interesting, Brian. And I don't know about you. You seem like you're kind of an A personality, like you're an A kind of out there, guy, extrovert. And I think I am as well. I think I call myself a hybrid. I think I'm extroverted, and I like to be around people, and I like to be involved in things and do things like this. But there's part of me that can just stay by myself and watch the hockey game too, and kind of do that. So groups, I flourish in groups, right, and in settings and parties and people and big groups of people. I love it. I love talking to tons of people, and I love being part of the conversation. What my wife said, she said, she was telling me I was getting quiet. So I said, okay, when you see me getting quiet, give me a tap or give me a nudge, and I'll pick it up, because I don't want to be quiet. But then I started realizing that I was in group settings, like even like a family dinner, like with an extended family, and I wasn't saying much. I wasn't partaking like I used to partake. And
that's a good question. Just hold that thought for a second.
Yeah.
Do you find that occurring when you're having a freezing episode, or a Parkinson's episode in general?
You know what I think it was, Brian? I think that when I freeze, when I have my freezing episode, then it, all bets are off, man. I'll just stand there and because I don't know about you, but when I get a freezing episode, I can speak okay, and I can move, I can talk okay. I just can't move. And it's like we call it I'm stuck, right? So it's like Bryce is stuck. And the only thing that,
by the way, absolutely the same.
Did you say the same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
And the only thing that gets me moving again is to be pushed to do, like, in other words, if I'm
Yes.
walking and I stop and I just stand there, it's like my wife has to or somebody has to give me a push and get me moving again, and my feet start
Okay.
going again. Is that how yours work?
I don't have. I don't know if this is the right way to say that. I don't have it that severe when I freeze. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and this individual, he had to mimic that he was kicking a soccer ball, and that freed him up to continue walking. I
Yeah.
don't have that per se. What I find is I get real quiet.
Okay.
I don't want to move much.
Yeah.
I get that resting bitch face.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
smiling. I can't
Yeah.
smile,
Yeah.
and I don't want to talk. Like I might just go to a section of the house or the room or outside. Like I might want to get away from everybody. I might
Yeah.
go stand in the garage and
Just by yourself. Just.
like
And do you think you want to be that in the garage by yourself because you don't want people to see you frozen,
no,
stuck?
it's not that.
Or,
It's how I feel, not how I look.
yeah.
It's how I
Yeah.
feel. For me, it's how I feel.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And so back to your question, when that no, when I start feeling that way too, I just slump, like I slump down, and I'm
Totally.
the same way. I just want to get out of there. I don't want to be around anybody. I can't handle noise. I don't like lots of noise. I don't like lots of things going around. And I found that's another problem I have as well. Another problem. This stack up the problems. But another problem I have is those action packed places now, like going to a grocery store or being
Yes.
in a large group. And when all of a sudden, if I don't concentrate, I can, and all of a sudden it just get to this point where everything's starting to, it's just like, this is way too much for me right now. And I slump down. But,
Yep.
and back, man, we're covering so many topics here, like bam, bam, bam. But back to your other part about being that, kicking the soccer ball, same as me, I need a trigger. Like I need something to trigger me. I got in the biggest fight. I got in the biggest fight. I got in the biggest argument, non-sleeping argument, Brian, non-sleeping fight. I got in the biggest argument
Yeah.
with these professors from this university
Okay.
at the World Parkinson Congress in last year or 2 years ago in Spain,
Okay.
and they were these small groups, and so there was a small group. In this group, there was two physiotherapists, two I guess researchers, doctors, researchers, professors,
Yeah.
and three people with Parkinson's. Okay. And they were talking about doing this study on freezing. And they were talking about, this is what they were going to study, and they wanted our feedback, is what they said. Let's say, hey, let's have some feedback. Let's talk about it. Let's see how it works for you guys. And one of the things that as they were going through it, they kept saying to me, like, they kept saying, well, we found that if you put a rubber band around your wrist, and when you feel like you're going to freeze, but before you freeze, you just keep snapping yourself, and then you won't freeze. And I went, okay, okay. And I listened to that, and then they said something else, and then I said, I know, not to interrupt you or anything, but, and I don't know if this is just me, or if it's common, but I don't know when I'm going to freeze. So in other words, when I freeze, like you said, like you're talking about, like, that's further along, like when I can't move, like I physically. So I look at two different ways. I feel like when I slump down in that position where we're in a group setting, I'm either coming off going into off period off my
Yeah.
meds, or I'm just utterly exhausted or whatever. What? So I call that just like I'm off. I'm off. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm I'm spacey in my head. I just can't deal with this right now, and I just want to despair.
Yeah.
And then when I call the stuck, the frozen, is when I'm literally. The last time I froze, Brian, I was at my mom and dad's with my wife, and we were gonna. My mom got us all tea, and so I was gonna be a cool guy and carry my own tea, which I don't do anymore because I don't like spilling
That's
hot
a
tea on
no-no.
myself. Yeah, I don't want to spill. But I was walking with this tea, and it was a beautiful day, and we were going out out screen door, like a sliding patio doors,
Yeah.
out onto a deck. And there was a little step about this high that you had to step over, right? That you had to step over to get onto the deck. And
Yeah.
so I'm walking with this cup of tea, and I'm walking with this cup of tea, and I walk up to and I'm following, everybody's ahead of me. So my mother's ahead of me, my mother, my father, my wife, and I'm last. And I'm coming up behind because I said, go ahead, I'll take my time. I'll be a little slower. And they
Right.
go, I literally got up to, went to take that next step, and my foot wouldn't move. It was just stuck. My feet were literally glued to the floor. So I just stood there, and I know they're glued to the floor, and I think my brain's telling my foot go, and I'm saying go, and I'm just standing there, and no one noticed me. It was the funniest thing ever. They're out. They just left me, and they're all standing out, sitting in the backyard. And then my wife turned, and she looked at me and she said, you're stuck. And I said, yep, I'm stuck. And so then she has to come over and get my foot moving, and and it's the Pavlov dog thing, right? Like so do you understand the tapping thing? So the tapping, the wrist snapping, I get the theory. It's the Pavlov dog, ring the bell, eat the food, ring the bell, eat the food, right? Snap the wrist, walk, or kick the ball means move. And I get that. But for me personally, sorry, and the other people agreed with me afterwards, they were the same way, but when that frozen foot comes in, when I'm stuck to the floor, I have no idea, not a clue that's about to happen. So I can't snap anything. Like I'm literally stuck. Yeah. And when I'm stuck, I can't do it either.
Yeah.
What I think it is, this is just me personally, I think it's my brain. I think that I'm telling my brain, like I'm looking ahead, right? I'm looking ahead at that step. I'm looking forward. I know I'm carrying a cup of tea. This is just Bryce speaking now, Brian. This is not medical. This is me. It's my own theory that when I'm carrying my tea and I'm walking towards and I'm looking ahead at that little tiny step and I'm thinking, okay, when I get there, I'm going to take a big step over, and I start thinking about the step, and I think it automatically puts this thing in my brain that says, you need to stop. Like you're not going to make it over, or it tricks myself just to freeze. I don't know. That's just me. It's just the way it is. I don't know. It's crazy, but it's not fun. And the worst part, Brian, is that if you're not with that person that knows how to trigger you or get you moving again, you could stand there for a while. I could stand there for a while.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks. Anyway, that's nothing.
That's weird.
Another great thing to look forward to.
I'm more at the speed bump stage, I would call it, versus like for you, you're getting into a fender bender kind of situation.
Yeah. So and I think that's and again, we want to be really careful when we say this. Like I say, hey, look what you have to look forward to, right? Like, but it may never happen to you, right? So again, we're all different, right? Things, but you don't know, right? So I don't. Yeah, if you're watching or listening to this podcast, don't think, oh God, that's what I have to look forward to. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But if it does, here's some things that you can do to help as well. And one thing I realized, Brian, after I was diagnosed, I had no idea I was doing this. I had no clue I was doing this. But when I'm walking downstairs, and here's and this is what they say, this is what the experts say, that people that freeze, like I just said, like when we get in that frozen foot, and you know what, if you're watching or listening, put in the comments, do you freeze? Do you freeze like I'm talking about, where the actual freeze where your feet are stuck, and what do you do to get moving? I'd love to hear people, like I'd love to know what people do and in that situation, because it can be scary. It can be, especially the first time it ever happens, and because like, okay, I'm just going to be honest, Brian, I don't believe I'm doing this out loud, but, when I was like 18, I think I smoked a joint, right? So I had some marijuana, 18 or 19, and it didn't work well with me. Like I remember lying in a bed. I'd smoked this, my friend had given me a joint, we smoked this joint, and I laid down, and I wanted to go to the restroom, like my brain, I had to go to the restroom. I want to go to the restroom, but I couldn't make my body move. My body is laid there. And I said, oh my God, I don't like this. Like, so this wasn't for me. It wasn't my thing. Because I said to myself, well, I'm never going to have marijuana again, because I don't want to ever not be able, I don't ever want to not be able to control my body.
Exactly. You don't want to
but now I get this thing where I can't control my body. Like, how ridiculous is this, right? But it's that same feeling where your brain knows what it wants to do. Your brain knows how to do it. Your brain knows but they're just not talking, right? Yeah. They're not listening. And, I make jokes of that. And when some of those minutes where my legs are just, standing by watching, seeing what happens. And it's like, no, come on, move. And to me, that's a very frustrating thing. But anyway, I digress to say that, back to when you were saying too about that slumping, getting into that moment, I'm identical. I want to move. I want to get away. I want to just get away. So what I do at least to get myself to a position where I can get out of that scenario and get into where I want to be is, I literally just start counting backwards in my head. I go from 20, I go like 20, 19, 18, just trying to get a deep breath. And I was trying to get like just settle my nerves down a little bit, because
you want a controlled atmosphere.
Man, if you start worrying about that, you start like, oh my God, I'm going off. Right. It's going to make it worse, right? We just said that. Exactly. So what do you do? How do you handle it, or what What happens?
I don't know how long it lasts for you. For me, it tends to be a 15, 20-minute experience. I just, I guess I just stop. Like if I can sit down, I'll sit down. If I can lie down, I'll lie down. I stop for 15 or 20 minutes. And then, I'll get up, and if I was in the middle of doing something, barbecuing or whatever, I'll get back at that. But, it's funny when my kids come and say they want me to partake in something, the first thing they'll ask is, Dad, can you do blah, 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 or are you freezing? Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why did they do that? Well, because I gave them a copy of this book called Every Victory Counts. And so we are on the same language, and that really helps a lot.
Nice, right?
Because
Understand.
they get it,
Yeah.
right? And when you're around people that get it, like I could be at a party and I might just say, excuse me for a minute. I'm freezing. I'll be back in a minute. When I come back, I purposely say, I wasn't cold. This is what freezing means to me, right?
I could picture someone giving you a jacket, like, "Hey, buddy,"
Exactly.
Brian, to your point, I think that's why it's so important for us to be open. Just be open and honest, right? Sometimes we don't want to tell people what we have because we're, for fear what they might think of us, or we might be embarrassed, or we don't want them to pity us or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, if you don't tell them, and then all of a sudden that happens, you want to see pity and like fear. It's like so. I think that's so great. And again,
Be proud that you have Parkinson's and the way you're treating and the way you're treating it. Don't let it get the better of you. Don't be the driver of the bitter bus on the way to Pity City. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl.
Say it again. What? I never heard that before. Say it again.
Don't be the driver of the bitter bus on the way to Pity City. Don't be that guy, right? So
I love that. It's a great attitude.
Jump into the fact that you're okay, right? We're broken. That's all.
Yeah.
And we have Parkinson's, but it doesn't define me. I define it. I tell it what I'm going to do today. I am going to go play pickleball.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I go and do it. And gosh darn it, if I didn't freeze a half an hour early on the pickleball court, I figured it out.
I love it. I love that. I mean, so you're right. And again, I envy you in a way. Because we talked about this in I think the first. If you haven't seen the first episode of when Brian and I were of this podcast, you should go back and look at it. It's in the playlist here because we literally were just talking. We were sitting here talking one day, and there is no. It doesn't say Parkinson's big with these lights on front of it. And we were literally talking, and I said, "This is such a good conversation. We should just go." Just record it, and it was really what we did. Oh, actually, we went live, and we just did that way and then we talked about that in that moment. And I said that, for me, it was a long coming out party. I tried to hide I keep banging my chin on this thing. Besides my immediate family, right, my kids and my mother, father, and my spouse at the time, I didn't really tell anybody, and I didn't tell anybody at work, and I tried to hide it, and I was covering it up and I don't know if it was a mixture of a whole lot of things. It was a mixture of denials, a mixture of fear and whatnot. I was 40 years old, and at 40 years old, I'm thinking, if anybody finds out about this, I'm not like they won't want to employ me, they won't want to train me, that type of thing. So anyway, and yet you came out right away, right? Like immediately.
And let's remember, Parkinson's is my second go around with a chronic disease. I had a triple bypass at 46 back in 2007. Right. And if I look at the symptoms for Parkinson's, I say that I was diagnosed December 5th, 2018, because that's when somebody told me I officially had it.
Yeah.
But when I look back, in 2009, I lost my sense of smell. I thought it had something to do with my heart surgery. I ignored it. It didn't bother me. But then, many years later, I find out I actually had Parkinson's at 2009. Not 2000. So there was 9 years there where I was unaware and just doing my thing, right? So
it's wild. And do you know what's wild about that, Brian? Is that they say that your symptoms start to appear when you've lost 80% of the dopamine in your body. So how long has that thing been cooking? How long has that been draining out? Like it's wild. And I just realized when you said about losing your smell and being before, a precursor to your diagnosis, I realized I didn't finish what I was going to say, and I probably left someone hanging. But the one thing that I noticed that I do now do, and I noticed, I don't know even how I realized this, but anyway, probably a few years before I was diagnosed, I started doing this. Unconsciously doing it, just unconsciously doing it. But when I walk down the stairs, I check every stair on the way down with my heel. So in other words, I take a step, and as I'm going down, I check it with my heel, and then I go down. So it's like my
Yeah.
brain was already saying, maybe maybe I wasn't as steady as I thought I was, but it was double checking there was something there to land on, and
Yeah. Yeah.
weird and wild. Like it was interesting to
I've
me.
started doing that too.
Do you do that as well?
Yeah. And
Oh
then
my
with your
god, I thought it was
grandkids
the only
now,
one. I thought that was
I
just a
watch out for
Bryce thing.
I watch out for all these landmines around me because when they get toys, they don't put them back. Like they're too young, right? So, Brian, can you go to the kitchen and grab a bowl of chips, whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, on my way there and back, I'm doing this, trying not to step on stuff.
Oh my god, that's amazing. And you know what? Thanks, Skipper. Thanks for playing along today, and you have a good rest of your day. You just said goodbye to us, Brian. But my god, I thought I was so. Okay, listen. In the comments, please, when you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, tell me if you do the foot tap thing. I thought that was a Bryce thing. I thought that no one else did that in the whole world but
That's
me.
downstairs.
Wow, amazing.
It's easy to slide on. Usually, you're in sock feet. It could be a wooden stair or even a carpeted stair. But if you step the wrong way, we all know our foot will slide out. We don't have the same reflexes that
That's
we had when we
amazing.
were pre
Yeah, I
Parkinson's. So
wish.
yeah, you got to be careful.
Brian, some days I think when I get out of bed, I'm going to pull a muscle getting out of bed. You know, after my meds kick in. Before they kick in, I can't move fast enough to pull a muscle. But anyway,
Yeah, right on.
you know what? I think it's time to play a game. Should we do another game?
What are you thinking?
Um, I don't know. Do you want to do that shake up thing we talked about?
I can give you a scenario. Give you three options.
Okay.
There's no
All right.
right
Let's
or
try that.
wrong, but why don't I give you scenario one here? Let's play
Okay.
it out, see how it works.
All right.
Let's see what you know.
I don't know much, man. I only know as far as I know. Okay. Okay. I
So
love this. Okay.
scenario
My
number
turn.
one,
Yeah.
it's 2 a.m. and you
Okay.
wake up in the middle of a vivid, intense dream and suddenly realize you're actually being kicking or punching in your sleep. Do you A, try to go back to sleep and hope it doesn't happen again? B, get out of bed, walk around and try to reset? Or C, wake up your partner and tell them to sleep with a helmet? You want me to repeat those or do you have it?
Okay. So I know
So A
C was
is do you
wake
try
my
to go back
wake
to
my
sleep?
spouse up. Okay.
B is do you get out of bed and try to reset? And then C is are you telling Carmen to buy a helmet?
Okay, so A, B, or C. Okay, and you know what? And if I'd play along, please. If you're out there, play along with us. I would love to hear what you're going to say, what people would say about that one. Okay, what would I do? Here's what I think. So, which one was the get up and walk around one?
That was
Is that a B?
A, I believe.
Is
Hold
that an
on.
A?
Let me,
I
A was try to go back to sleep. Pardon me. B was get out of bed and walk around.
Okay, so I think personally, Brian. Again, I'm not a puncher and a kicker, right? And so I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I would go with B. I think I would go with or B. Yeah, get up and walk around because I think that for me, at least, I need to kind of go through the motions. So I need to kind of stretch a little bit. I need to walk around a little bit. I need to kind of get loose, if that makes sense, and get out of the situation that I'm in.
Okay.
And again, I've never experienced this before, so I don't know if you would consider that right or wrong or indifferent. Am I right? Am I wrong? Is that? Or, sorry, I guess anybody can be right. It doesn't mean it's a wrong answer. But what would
It's
you
what's right for
suggest?
you, right?
Yeah, I think B would work for me. What about you? What would you pick, or was there anything you could do at the time?
If I hadn't disturbed my spouse enough to wake them up, I probably would do A and just try to roll over and go back to sleep, making a mental note that we probably have to have a chat over coffee in the morning because we may want to discuss that helmet. So I'm a little bit of all three.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So, and those watching and listening in the comments, let us know what you would do, A, B, or C. I kind of like the helmet one.
What's that?
I think my wife would look kind of cute with a helmet on. No.
Because she'd like to have her hair messed. I wouldn't wear a helmet because it would mess my hair.
All right. Okay. You got any more for me, or is that it?
I am just looking here. I see a scenario 2 here.
Okay.
Why don't we fire that one off too?
Okay. Sure. All right.
All right.
Hey, so listen. I like these.
Scenario 2. All right. You finally fall asleep after tossing and turning for hours, and then boom, you wake up and completely drenched in sweat. Do you do one of the 3 things? Do you get up, change your clothes, and try again? Or do you ignore it and roll over because you're too exhausted to care? Or 3, do you throw off all the blankets, crank the fan, and hope for the best?
Okay. All right. So I know this one. Guys, I'm literally speaking for experience on this one. Do you sweat, Brian? Do you have nice sweats?
I do. Like, we'll be sitting in the living room at 4:30 in the afternoon, and this time of year the gas fireplace is going, and I'll look over at Lori and she's got a blanket over her. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and I'm sweating like crazy, and I haven't done anything.
So, see, now, wild, right? Because I can sleep. I don't sweat. Like, I mean, I sweat when I work out and do things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But I didn't sweat ever, and I still really don't. But when I wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night, drenched, completely soaked. I mean, drenched. Like I had a shower in my clothes and I'm lying there wet. So, my 2 options were, A was what again? Tell me again.
Yeah, let me go through that one more time. A would be get up and change your clothes.
Yeah.
B would be ignore it and roll over because you're too exhausted to care.
Yeah.
And then 3 would be throw off the blankets, crank the fan, and hope for the best.
Okay, so this is a whole combination. I'm going to say A, B, C, but it goes in order because here's the first thing I do. I'm sleeping. I realize I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm soaking wet. I'm going to try to ignore it the best I can. I'm going to kick my feet out and I'm going to just try to ignore it and go back to sleep. And that's not the right answer. That's the wrong thing to do, but I'm so tired. I don't need this in my life today. That's that answer. The second one, and then I crank the fan on. Like, I am trying everything I possibly can do to not have to get up and change my clothes for fear of waking up and not being able to fall back to sleep again. Right. So my go-to is, kick everything off, go, turn the fan on, do everything I can. The right answer is to get those damn clothes off and get new shirts on, because here's the thing. The thing is, I try so hard to avoiding getting up to change my clothes that I spend all this time of restless, awful sleep of doing all these things of not just changing my clothes. Right. And then I'm still soaking wet anyway. And I still have to get up and change them anyway. So I literally get up and change them right away. And then I grab a towel on the way back and I lay a towel over the sheet because the sheet is drenched. Like, you'd think there was it's like a murder scene. And then I lay the sheet on the sheet, or sorry, a towel on the sheet, and then back to bed. So the quicker I found that if you do have night sweats and you wake up soaking wet, the quicker you can quickly change, the better. And so another little side trick, in my little side table right beside me, there is like extra, of everything, so that I have a quick change, just off on as fast as I can. And I keep a towel there as well. The only problem I have is if I ever beat my wife up in the morning. No, that didn't sound right. If I ever beat my wife up in the morning. I'm like, beat my wife up in the morning. If I ever wake up before my wife in the morning, okay, right? So that's great. If I ever wake up before her and I'm soaking wet, I have to lie there soaking wet, because I'm not physically able to get out of bed. I'm not physically able to change my clothes or even anything like that before my pills kick in. So That one would be, again, just I'd have to take my pills. I'd have to lie there for 30 minutes waiting to wake up, or waiting for my pills to kick in before I could do anything. So I think the right answer is um, quickly change.
Okay. So, question for you:
Yeah.
with Parkinson's, have you changed your sheets and comforters or blankets on your bed to something that you didn't use prior to Parkinson's?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I used to have silk. I thought it was really cool. I remember getting silk sheets and stuff like that, and I hated them because I'd wake up in the morning, my pillow would be on the floor, like it would be gone, and it would drive me bananas. But I have literally gone to, at least for now, I've gone to a pillowcase. I've gone to the it's like a silk satin, a
Yeah.
satin silk pillowcase, because it's easier to slide on. I know a lot of people go with the sheets, right? They go with the slippable sheets or and the cool sheets and stuff. I haven't gone there yet. Um, and I'll be honest, why I haven't gone there yet. I haven't gone there yet because I'm nervous about falling out of bed. I got a really, really high bed, and for me, it's I don't. It could just be me, but I think I move around a lot. It's like and I think it would turn into a slip and slide, and I'm not ready for railings or anything like that yet. I do have the one thing I do have though, Brian, is I have now is I have one of those beds that it's like like we have a king size bed, but we each have our own remote control, and they move
Yeah.
up, so I can move the backs up, I can move the feet up, I can do
Yeah.
all that stuff. So that's been a game changer for me because I literally, like, it's in the morning, I can just push the button, and I raise myself up, and I can get my water and my pills in if I'm by myself, to do it. So that I've changed, but I haven't gone to the pajamas, or I don't wear pajamas to bed. That's my problem. Just kidding. Uh, but I haven't changed my pajamas or my sheets or anything like that yet. You?
Yeah, I use. I have. I'll call it a blanket. It's thinner than a blanket, thicker than a sheet. I think the company was called Rest. Lori told me. I,
Okay.
I think it's a Canadian company, but at any rate, it's a king size blanket. I don't have, so I have a mattress, a sheet on the mattress,
Okay.
and then I have this thin blanket. But it's a cool blanket. Like, when I say it's a cool blanket, it's a cooling blanket,
Cooling blanket. Yes. Okay. That's what I was
and
going
it's
to ask about.
also um, it makes it. I don't know if you find a challenge moving around in bed, that you're dragging your arms or your legs.
Yeah.
Like I've had it severe enough that I've actually opened up like a wound on my elbow from
Oh, wow.
getting up and trying to roll over and stuff. Well, it's rubbing on a rough sheet, right? So I have this, and I've had this for a few years now. It's rest. It's, as I said, I would consider it a blanket. I don't have a sheet or anything like that, other than the sheet on the mattress,
Yeah.
and it does help for moving around in the bed, as well as keeping you cool.
That's amazing. And maybe if you don't mind, and you can talk to Lori afterwards, let me know, and if we can find the name of that, we'll put it in the description.
I will. I'll get us
Yeah,
that.
tomorrow we'll do that. What's interesting about what you just said there is that's why I went to the silk pillowcase, because tend to sleep with my arm under the pillow.
Yeah.
Like, so
What?
I'll fall asleep with my arm under it, and it literally, if it can't slide easy, I'm stuck, and I'm stuck again.
You'd love
And
this blanket, I think. Then
yeah, I got to
it
check that
does.
out.
It
Yeah,
makes
let's check that out for
gives your
sure.
mobility that much easier.
For sure. You know what, Brian? Keep talking for 1 second. I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to tell my wife something, because I want to show you. I just realized I have this thing, and I want her to bring it to me really quick, and I want to show you what for me is just like changing my world right now. When you were talking about sunlight. So just 1 sec.
Yeah, go ahead. And for the folks that are still out there, if you think about it, having that blanket can lead to a better sleep, and leading to a better sleep, it's just one more thing you can take away that could be causing you grief. Is changing your sleep habit with the blankets that you're using.
That's a good point. That's a really, really good point. And um, I think you know what the thing is. It's like do whatever you have to do. Like do anything you can do. Like I would literally would start with one, start with two, start with three, start with four, and just keep going down the list until I slept. Right, and then I do
Yeah,
it all
yeah.
again. So wait, you won't show up on you won't show up. I got it. Thank you, big. Appreciate that. All right. So sorry, you know I know it's maybe could have been unprofessional, but this thing is literally changing my life right now. So I wanted to show you because people are like, what is that? Um, so again, like I said, uh, sleep is so important. It is so important for it's so important that you need to do whatever you need to do. So
Yep.
again, try one, try two, try three. I normally the way I do things is I'd start with one and see if it worked. You know, it didn't work, I'd do that one and another one. This thing I got, and we'll put a link in the description. I'll put one in the description after we're done. So it'll give us 20 minutes or certain after this podcast or
Exactly.
airs, so I can get it in there. But this thing right here that I got, and I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to show you this. This is a light lamp. It's a light. It's a lamp. A lamp alarm. Okay, a lamp alarm, and I'll plug it in. I'll show you. So what it is I set my alarm and I set it like let's say 30 minutes before I want to wake up. So if I normally want to wake up at let's say 6:30 in the morning, I'd set it for 6 a.m. And what this thing does, and I put it beside my bed, just on my end table or my side. My side table. Can you still see me? I'm still on, right?
Yeah.
Knocked my camera over there. So I put it on my side table and I'm going to plug it in and I'm just going to turn it on and I'll show you what it looks like. So there we go. Whoa, gee whiz. Okay, so it's so can you all right. So I knocked my camera out here. So I don't know if, but tell me if he's
I can see it.
come on, I can see
Yeah,
super
that's
bright,
very
right?
bright.
See how bright it is? Now, what happens at half an hour when you set the alarm, let's say you set it for 6 o'clock, you want to get up 6:30. At 6 o'clock, let me shut this thing off. Now it's going to go away. At 6 o'clock, this will come on ever so slightly. Okay, and not the white light. It comes on. It mimics sunlight. Okay, it'll come on
Mhm.
ever so slightly, and then it'll slowly move up. Like it'll slowly, gradually increase for 30 minutes, and it mimics waking up to a sunset or to a sunrise.
Nice.
And it actually it man, I'm telling you, they've done a bunch of tests or no, unproven tests, if that's what you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. But it literally, I wake up like happier. I wake up like kind of like smiley, like it's like this peaceful feeling. And people are using this all over the place. Like they literally are using these things. There's ones for your visor, like in your car if you drive a lot, where you can turn them on lightly, and it mimics sunlight that give that vitamin, like you were talking about.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I would encourage these greatly, especially if you're in an area that doesn't get a lot of sun like me. And I've actually caught myself where I was working the other day and I literally ran up to my room and I got this and I set it down kind of on my desk beside me just lightly. I don't know, man. It's really cool. I would really encourage you to try it. So anybody, if you're struggling, give it a try. It really works. Anyway, now I'm a bunch of, oops, geez, now I'm just a big mess here, Brian. All right.
Do you
All right.
find one last question for you, Bryce? Do you find when you're in bed that you are, especially on a sleepless night,
Yeah.
constantly poking an eye or peeking an eye at the clock?
Oh my gosh, every 5 minutes.
So is your clock in a position where that's easy to do, or is it a little bit laborious?
Okay, so I didn't have a clock before. So you know what I would do? I'd literally grab my phone. Bad move, right? Like terrible move.
Yeah.
This one now, there's a slight clock at the bottom, but I can't really see it. So I tend to now just guess what time it is.
So I have a clock that it shines the time on the ceiling.
Okay. On the ceiling.
On the ceiling. So plus it's a regular clock on my nightstand, and I'd say the letters
Ah,
are 2.5, 3 inches, or numbers are
cool.
2.5 to 3 inches high on the physical clock. It's even bigger on the roof. So I can just lift my shoulder up or my chin up and open my eye and go, oh, okay. It's 4:45. I got to take my meds in 45 minutes.
That's awesome. But is it up there all the time? Like it
No,
shines
I
up there?
turn it on and off. So when I get up in the morning, it's like it's like an infrared or whatever. But it's Amazon. It was
Are-
20 bucks.
no
I
way.
have one in
Okay.
a travel bag. So when I go to the hotel, because the hotel rooms are terrible for
That's
clocks to begin with,
phenomenal. That's a great idea.
it works great.
The worst part I have is when I'm not sleeping. So when excuse me, I should add, when I'm not sleeping, I continue to take my meds. So I take my meds every 3 hours. So if I'm up, I'll take it, right?
Right.
So I'm taking my meds, taking my meds, but it's the same thing. I could be lying there, and for me, even to roll over to
Right.
look to grab my phone or look at my clock, it's awful. It doesn't work well. So that's a group. Okay, so here we'll try to add that. We'll figure all that out, and we'll put that in the description as well. So, just some of our little tricks and hacks that we found out. So that's a really good one. I like that, Brian. I'm going to
Yeah,
buy
make
one
a
of
note
those.
of that one. I'll send you that as well.
Can I can I say, hey Alexa, show me the time on the ceiling, and it'll pop up? Do you
If you want to spend more,
think? I just try to be cool. I feel so cool. I feel so young when I'm like doing that. But
I have three daughters and a wife. I didn't even need another female voice to answer to.
oh my God. Hey, you know what? It was fun talking to you today. I think it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I learned some stuff today, which was really cool. Like
I did
it's
as well.
awesome. It is awesome. And I hope that, whether you're watching this live or listening live, I hope that you learned some things. I hope that maybe maybe you learned some things, maybe you didn't. Maybe we put a smile on your face, maybe we didn't. But whatever. We want to thank you so much for joining us. And I think that's a wrap. I think it's a wrap, Brian. I think we're gonna call it. And I'd say like this, like stay until we see you again next week, right? Stay strong and sleep well, right? What do you
Absolutely.
think? All right. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you. We really, really do. And you know what? Feel free to leave us a comment about anything. If you're new here, introduce yourself. We'd love, if you look through some of the comments, we love comment. We love getting a conversation. We are building a community here, and we want to rally together and stick together because, I feel like, if we stick together and learn and learn things along the way, um, we need community, and this is becoming a community, and we want it to be a strong community, a community where it's a safe place where you can just be you, and we can look at us here, the two experts, or no, what are you called again?
Expert journalist.
The expert generalist, and we're learning as we go. So thank you for taking the journey with us. We encourage you to. So if you're new here, what was I started this whole thing by saying, if you're new here, say hi, let us know who you are, where you're from, and we'd love to be a part of your journey. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye bye
My
now.
pleasure.
Thanks, Brad.